Do you feel like you're scared of change or maybe afraid of the unknown? Well, change can be scary sometimes, right? Ending chapters can be hurtful and discouraging, but it's about learning how to end a chapter before we start the next chapter. This is episode 30 of the Get Uncomfy podcast. I'm Joe, and remember, nothing great has ever been achieved from within the boundaries of one's comfort zone. So let's get uncomfy together. Hi. Our life consists of so many different chapters throughout our lifetime. I like to see life as a novel with a lot of different phases that we go through life. You might call them chapters, you might call them seasons, you might call them episodes, whatever you want, right? But life will have so many different milestones and so many different checkpoints where drastic change happens. Whether it's from childhood into teenage years, then from the teenage years to the adolescence, and then adulthood, and then maybe fatherhood or motherhood. So our life keeps changing drastically. Sometimes within a year, we might become a completely different person. But a lot of people struggle to change. A lot of people struggle to end a chapter because it feels comfortable. Comfortable is a word that I really don't like, because as soon as it gets comfortable, it gets stagnant. And maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I can tell from my life, every time I felt like I got to a comfortable stage at whatever it is I'm doing, it got stagnant. I was not improving anymore. My growth stopped. And for me, stopping to grow is insanely difficult, which is also why I decided to leave and stop the podcast for almost a year now. It hurts me so much that I had to stop, or that I needed to stop. But I accepted the fact very quickly, and I was like, okay, I need to put the podcast on the side. So to everyone who's been following the journey and asking why I stopped, I'm sorry, and thank you for your patience, but I'm back, and I'm very happy to be back. Let's dive into the episode. So most people tend to struggle when they need to end a chapter in a way that brings them peace and allows the new chapter to start off beautifully, to start off with joy and courage and excitement, right? And in this episode, I just want to share lessons and things that I learned through ending so many chapters. I'm young, but I have dedicated the last 10 years of my life, or even more, to learning how to end chapters in a way that makes me most productive, most efficient, and happiest. And those are the things that I really want to share, because I've talked to so many people about this topic, right? And sometimes they're in a chapter that they really dislike and they don't want to continue, but they feel trapped and they feel like they shouldn't change something, because what if changing or ending this chapter is more painful than being in it? Well, to bring light to the subject, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was telling them that I'm thinking about ending a chapter of my last job. I was working at an IT agency, and I felt like I was stagnant. I wasn't growing anymore. I was going against some of my values, and I felt the need to end the chapter abruptly and start something else, to jump into ice cold water, as some people might phrase it. And it was a very scary jump, but I did it without hesitation. Well, I hesitated for a while, obviously. But when this friend told me that I jump a lot between things and that I never stay long enough to figure out whether I like something or not, I listened, and then I had so many questions. I was like, okay, when do you quit something? When do you stop pursuing something that's not fulfilling you? Why are you trying to pursue something that's not fulfilling you? This is a very normal question that I ask myself as well. And this brought light on a subject called the quitting framework. I've spoken about this before on this podcast, but the quitting framework is understanding when it is time to quit something and start something else. For me, I always push my limit a bit too far before I quit something. So there's always a limit of, let's call it discouragement, let's call it unhappiness, that I'm willing to go to in order to learn and grow. But once I push that limit, I find myself in a place where I realize I need to quit this. I need to stop. It never happened with the podcast. It never happened with the things that I do for myself, for my joy, for my passion, for my goals. But whenever for example, I changed a lot of jobs in the last couple of years, because I go in 160% for as long as I can and as long as I want, and then I decide to just stop and go for something else. Sometimes I downgrade according to people. I never saw anything as a downgrade. I went from being a manager, a regional manager, to a waiter. And then I went to become a promotion boy, as you might call them, like giving people flyers and stuff. And I tried so many different things to push my boundaries and go against my fear of rejection, because I've always fought with the fear of rejection. So this last chapter was a very intense one for me. 8 months of me going absolutely bananas after something that I was envisioning for myself. But the further I went down the line, the more I realized this is something that I don't want to sustain, and something that is not doing me any service anymore in terms of my mental health. I felt like I'm losing joy in life. And this is when I decided to quit something. So basically, my quitting framework revolves around the topic of my mental health. Some people quit when they see that it's not generating the income that they want, or not fulfilling the goals that they were after. For me, it's way more, I quit things that harm my mental health in any way. Because the only thing that I can do for myself is work on my mental health and make sure that I'm doing my best to preserve that and make sure that I live a happy and fulfilled life, because it's so short. One day you're here, the next you're not. And I don't want to live my life going through miserable seasons and not doing anything about it. So I like to take matter into my own hands, and I like to jump off cliffs a lot. I mean, I wouldn't do it personally because I'm afraid of heights, but metaphorically, I love jumping off cliffs. As soon as I find an opportunity to just jump, I jump. There's nothing to lose, or at least everything to gain. And even in relationships, when a relationship starts taking a toll on my mental health or on the mental health of my partner, I feel like this is also a time where it needs to end. I've always struggled with people leaving me and moving on with their lives. It's always been such a big thing for me, because my first relationship ended abruptly and left me shocked for many, many years. Until I had my next relationship, which also ended very abruptly and out of nothing, where it shocked me even more, but it woke me up that I needed to decide to end this chapter for myself. Because I didn't choose to end the chapter. The chapter was ended for me. But what a lot of people do is they go on to find a rebound, feel good about themselves, and just sweep it under the rug. But this way, the next chapter will start with so many unresolved issues from the previous chapter. Imagine you're reading a book and you're halfway through a chapter or almost done with a chapter, but you don't finish it. You leave the last 2-3 pages and you jump into the next one. You have no idea. You're still in the previous chapter, but somehow in the new chapter, and it doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. And it takes longer for you to accelerate within the new chapter. So what I did after that relationship ended is I took a couple of days for myself and I actually wrote in my notes an ending to that relationship. And the coolest thing in life is that we're the authors of our novel. So we decide how to end a chapter and how to start the next one. And I wrote a beautiful ending. I was in pain. Of course, obviously, everyone is in pain when they're left alone. I was in pain, but by writing this beautiful ending, it made it feel like a happy ending. And I moved on much quicker than I had in previous relationships. It didn't hurt me as long. Because if you ask me about that relationship now, I tell you it had a beautiful end. But had I gone differently about the ending, it would have had a disastrous end because it just ended out of the blue, and a couple of months later she was married to another guy, not to me. So choosing and wording certain endings is so important, and knowing when to end something is also very important. In life, we feel like we need to listen to people a lot, and we ask for opinions a lot, especially sometimes from people that we don't really look up to. And this is something I learned in the last couple of months so intensely. Asking someone for their opinion about something in your life is like giving them the driver's seat. It's like telling them take the wheel. But why should they? It's your life. You're responsible for your decisions, and you should have your own opinions. I'm not saying don't ask anyone, but don't let them dictate what you do. When I tell people about the next chapter of my life or whatever I want to do, they have so many pessimistic views on the topic, and they come with advice out of love, out of passion, out of whatever. But it fucks my brain. It really does. Because I feel like maybe they're right. What if they're right? Well, if they're right, they're right. But if you're asking a person for advice that doesn't share the same values or vision or ambitions or mentality as you, you're always going to get an answer that will only hold you back. And I am surrounded by lovely and beautiful people all around me, and they all want the best for me. And I love that, and I'm very grateful for it. But at the same time, the way they see life is not supposed to be the way that I see life. So when you know that you want to end a chapter, end it. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain on the other side of that chapter. If you want to know how to end a chapter, there is no one who can tell you how to do it. You need to find the suitable ending for you. It might be an angry one. Every author decides how to end certain chapters in a novel. You decide how to end yours. Just end it when it's time for it to end. End it when you feel like you cannot continue anymore. Because it's not your comfort zone. Well, I got used to it. Yeah, fuck getting used to something. Honestly, because once you stay in something just because it's comfortable, you're in a cage. And you have the key to that cage to free yourself. You have it in your hand. It's one ending, and the door is open, and you're free again. Free yourself of your comfort zone. Free yourself of bad chapters. Live the life that you want, because nobody and I really mean it, nobody will come and take care of your life for you. I think this is it for today. I wanted to have a short episode, so there you go. To everyone who's been listening to this podcast since the beginning, I love you. And to everyone who listened to this episode for the first time, I love you. I'm very thankful that I had the courage to start this podcast a while ago. And I never in a million years imagined that this would be the passion that I really want to go after. But it's again about trying different things and ending chapters quickly and quitting things and trying new things and quitting other things and trying again. Why not? Why not? Just go. Try. Yes, you're gonna fail. It's okay. I've failed miserably a lot of times. But it's so good. Because once you win, you understand the losses. You take the lessons from the losses. And by ending a chapter the way that you want to end it, you can extract all the lessons that you want, all the lessons that you need. But by staying in that chapter, you never take time to actually reflect on how it ended. So every time a chapter ends, make sure that this chapter taught you at least something for the future. I love this podcast, and I love being able to just sit here and talk randomly about some awkward shit and have someone listen to it. I don't know why some people listen to me, but I really appreciate it. So cool. I cannot promise anything, and I don't want to promise anything, but I'm going to try my best to upload an episode a week starting now. You never know what happens in life, so I'll try my best. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. I love you all. Have a good one.